Morning continues across the heart of Virginia. I'm going to let you know when this wind is going to be ending, plus when we're going to see rain returning back to the Commonwealth.
Widespread damage. The high winds are taking a toll on trees and power lines all over the area. We'll talk with an AEP spokeswoman on when you can expect power to be restored. And laid to rest. Mourners paid their last respects to Reverend Billy Graham. We'll have another look back at America's pastor's life and legacy.
You're watching ABC 13, news coverage you can count on. This is ABC 13 News at 7.
Thanks for joining us tonight. You are taking a live look now at Memorial Avenue in Lynchburg, where you can see the high winds are still wreaking havoc, as you felt and heard all day today. We're getting reports of thousands of power outages, as well as wind damage, video and pictures you've sent us. Governor Northam has declared a state of emergency for Virginia. ABC 13 has been covering the ongoing impact of these high winds all day long for you. Chief Meteorologist George Flickinger is in our weather center with more on why it's not letting up. George?
Noreen, it's a very slow-moving storm system, and that's why we still have the windy conditions. And all of us, this is whether you're watching us from Lynchburg, Amherst, Nelson County, Roanoke, or in Southside, we're all under a high wind warning until 11 a.m. And notice that this also includes many areas as you make your way up toward the north and east. Places like Philadelphia and toward New York City are also under this high wind warning. So for this evening, it's not going to be quite as windy as earlier today, but at 10 p.m. the wind is still cranking. Then looking ahead toward tomorrow morning, it's going to be another breezy morning, but these wind speeds aren't as bad as what we woke up to this morning. So it's going to be windy, but the wind won't be quite as awful. Now the temperatures are going to drop. We're going to see lows near and below freezing across all of the area, and with that wind, that's going to give us wind chills in the teens. Upper 20s and lower 30s when you wake up on your Saturday morning. Coming up, I'll let you know when all this wind will move out, plus when rain returns.
All right, George, and there are still widespread power outages all across our area. You're looking at Appalachian Power's outage map over Lynchburg. Almost 80,000 Appalachian Power customers are without power all across the state. And we're joined now on the phone with Appalachian Power spokeswoman Teresa Hamilton Hall. Teresa, thanks for joining us. I know you've had a very busy day today.
I think it's been a busy day for everyone.
Yeah. Now, George has told us that winds aren't really even going to start dying down until tomorrow afternoon. And I know the crews really can't get up on the bucket trucks until then. You had said earlier they have been at least out assessing. Can you explain that a little bit?
Right. The windy conditions you mentioned have made it unsafe for our workers to use bucket trucks and to climb the poles to make repairs. For most of the day today and probably again tomorrow morning, our crews will be out assessing the damage in the field, identifying the problems, and then determining how many employees and what type of equipment and supplies will be needed to make the repairs once the weather does improve.
All right. So you think they'll have things staged and kind of ready to go when the time comes to do the repairs?
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
All right. So do you think you have any kind of estimate on when power will be restored for folks?
For the most part, we don't. What we want folks to know is that we've got a team of more than 1,000 workers who are out there and helping out and ready to go out and do a lot more. That includes some company employees, contractors, tree crews. They're all out in the field. They're all ready to get to work. But, you know, it's dangerous work, and with the wind, that has really hindered our efforts. But we hope that we can make a lot more progress tomorrow and have some better estimated restoration times, especially in the Roanoke and Lynchburg areas where we've got so much damage.
Yes, indeed. All right, Teresa, thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a look around the area at some of the damage that wind left behind. This is Lynchburg. We saw down power lines, fallen trees, traffic lights affected all across the city. Don't forget, it's an everybody stop when the lights are out. One man we spoke to said the wind blew off some of his shingles.
I don't ever remember seeing wind this bad in my lifetime without there being a hurricane attached to it. I mean, it's destructive. It's taken off roof shingles. It's blown over my propane grill. There's no need to try and set it back up because I know it's just going to get knocked back over.
More than 6,500 people in Lynchburg are still without power. Take a look at this, the scene at Ferguson's Body Shop and Auto Repair in Appomattox County. Part of their roof blew off and landed on Route 24. This was the most extreme damage we saw in the county. Most of the county saw a lot of downed trees and power lines. Appomattox County volunteer fire departments were on the scene and will be on call all night long. More than 150 calls came into Amherst County about downed trees and power lines. Take a look at how a large tree here on Toy Town Road nearly snapped in half, fell in the yard, and narrowly missed that home right there. The family was home at the time. They say they had heard that tree come crashing down. Luckily, they and their house are okay. In Botetourt County, things are back to normal for more than 5,000 people after a transformer explosion there last night. It lit up the sky at the Trinity substation. Took crews 21 hours working around the clock to restore power there. An AEP spokesperson says a tree fell into a distribution line and that created a snowball effect that led to the outage. People came to the substation to thank the workers with coffee, brownies, and pizza. In Henry County, the number of power outages keeps growing. AEP's outage map is now showing more than 12,000 customers are out there. It was 10,000 earlier. And Henry County Public Safety Director Matt Tatum tells us on an average day, volunteer fire departments respond to about 4 calls. Since last night, they have responded to more than 20, and that number is growing. No injuries have been reported, thankfully. Tree removal services were working in overdrive today, trying to keep up with all the calls. ABC 13's Carrie Beal has been following them.
We're here at a house in Boonesboro, and this is one of several places that Sam's Tree Services has been over to, working on it with several crew members here. Earlier today, we were at 2 locations where large trees had fallen, one on Cedar Haven Court and Forest. At that location, there were 2 trees down within just feet of each other, but neither were on a home. On Maryland Avenue, there was a tree that fell on a home, but miraculously, it just basically split in half, and so the damage wasn't so bad.
Hit the roof and it rolled off. Thank God none of the vehicles in the yard.
And you said, but it didn't really pierce inside of the house at all?
No, it didn't pierce inside the house at all. It just pierced the top of the roof, and that's amazing too, because big as that tree was, it could have been worse, but.
Brooks says he is just happy he was not hurt and his car was not damaged. And Sam's Tree Services here, they still have a few more houses to get to, and they said they have a whole load more for tomorrow. Reporting in Boonesboro, Carrie Beal, ABC 13 News.
A 6-year-old Chesterfield County boy has died after a tree fell on his family's home while he was sleeping this morning. Anthony Hamilton was sleeping in his bunk bed when the tree crashed through the roof and landed on him. He was taken to VCU Medical Center where doctors say his organs were failing. A neighbor said the tree that fell on him and other trees in the area have had stability issues over the last 10 years. And Amtrak has canceled service for the rest of the day along the Northeast Corridor and the Keystone service. You're looking at the notice they posted. That includes the Crescent, which was due into Lynchburg at 10 tonight. Amtrak has also canceled all service between D.C. and Boston through tonight. We've been getting a lot of pictures from you showing the damage you've seen from the windstorm. Check this out. That used to be where the flagpole was at Miller Park. The flag was lifted out of the ground and onto a tree. You can send more of your wind damage pictures through our website or app. Just click on See It, Send It. Gas tax hike. President Trump is mulling ways to fund his infrastructure plan. We'll tell you just how much more you could be paying at the pump if one plan comes to fruition.
And I'll have the newest info on this windy weather next.
All right, this is a live look at one of our VDOT cams on Route 29 in Lynchburg. The camera, you can see it's still shaking, all from the raging winds that we have been feeling all day. Let's go to Chief Meteorologist George Flickinger with more on how long this is going to last. George?
Noreen, it is going to gradually get better overnight tonight, but we're going to have to wait until tomorrow afternoon before we see substantial improvement. And many of you have been asking, how strong has this wind been? The closest thing I could compare this to, since the wind has been lasting a long time, it's like we've had a tropical storm but without the rain. That's what these wind speeds compare to. 45 to 65 mile an hour wind gust in all locations. Lynchburg, Danville, Roanoke had the higher wind, so the winds get stronger as you make your way to the west. Blacksburg near 50, also near 50 miles an hour. Martinsville, South Boston, Pulaski, and up toward Charlottesville. For the rest of tonight and tomorrow, the strongest wind is going to be across the hills and mountains. So as you increase in elevation, the wind gets stronger. It is going to be another very windy night. May have difficulty sleeping tonight due to simply hearing the wind, but it is not going to be as bad as what we had earlier today. The worst has passed. And then tomorrow afternoon, we will gradually all see decreasing wind as the weather becomes a bit more tolerable for your outdoor stuff. This map, very colorful. This is showing you the current wind gust. Where you see the areas of pink, that's where it's gusting over 30 miles an hour. Lynchburg, we're at 22 with 35 in Roanoke. And if you see this hole on the map in Martinsville and Danville and also into Farmville, that's simply because the electricity is out there and there is no data which is showing up. But as you know, it's still very windy across those areas. Right now, we're looking live in Danville. This tower camera, this look over Danville near the Dan River, not bouncing around quite as much as earlier today, but still a very breezy evening. Certainly want your coat with you if you're heading out tonight. Now tomorrow, full sunshine. We're going to be completely dry, so it's going to be a day, if you look outside, it's going to look peaceful. Let's take a look at the trees. You're going to see those blowing around in the wind. We're having all this wind because there's a major storm just off the coast, but it is so strong that it is pulling a lot of air into Virginia out of the northwest. That's colder air which is blowing its way into the Commonwealth. On Sunday, that winter storm is not quite as strong, and also it's just a nudge farther away, so Sunday the weather will be less windy. Your hourly weather for tomorrow will begin the day near and below freezing. We're 35, sunny, breezy, and cold at 9. That means morning wind chills at 9 o'clock are going to be in the 20s, 46 at noon, and the highs tomorrow will be reaching toward the lower 50s. The high wind warning ends at 11 a.m. And if you're watching us from south side, Danville, South Boston, Charlotte County, you're going to be closer toward the upper 50s on your Saturday. We'll check on the 7-day forecast. We're dry through Monday, but we're going to have some colder mornings ahead with lows near and below freezing, most of us in the upper 20s. Tuesday, rain moves in. No threat of severe weather or flooding or any icy weather. Temperatures are going to be above freezing, but on Wednesday morning, it's possible we could briefly see a few snowflakes, but with these temperatures, we're not expecting any accumulation. So a rather cool start to March as we move into next week.
All right, and you can ask George questions you might have about the continuing winds, even that potential snow. Just join his Facebook Live sessions right after this newscast at 7:30 and again at 10:30 tonight, and George will do his best to answer any questions you have. Up next, saying goodbye. America's pastor, Billy Graham, was laid to rest today. We'll take you to Charlotte for another look back at his life and legacy. Graham, known and beloved in life as America's pastor, was laid to rest today.
Faithful, he was available, and he was teachable.
Thousands gathered under a tent at the Billy Graham Library in Charlotte for his funeral service. Mourners heard personal reflections from Christian leaders from around the world. President Trump and Vice President Pence were also in attendance. Graham's faith built an empire that ministered to both the poor and the powerful. His oldest son, Franklin, gave the eulogy.
My father preached on heaven. He wrote a book on heaven. And today, he's in heaven. His journey is complete.
Graham is buried in the library garden next to his wife, Ruth. A recall alert for you now. Instant Pots have been voluntarily recalled over reports of overheating and melting. The product is only available at Walmart. You're asked to immediately stop using the Instant Pot if you have the Gem 65 8-in-1 model. You can return it to Walmart for a free replacement. Pumping up costs. One of President Trump's signature campaign promises was to fix America's infrastructure. How you'd end up funding that fix next. New at 7, President Trump is reportedly open to raising the federal gasoline tax to generate revenue for his infrastructure plan. ABC 13 national correspondent Michelle Macaluso has more on how this could make you pay more at the pump.
With an estimated 270 million cars on roads across the country, President Trump is backing a 25-cent increase to the federal gas tax in order to help pay to fix the nation's roads.
I mean, we need to do something. The roads are just horrible at this point.
The last time the federal gas tax was raised was 25 years ago. The current tax is 18.4 cents per gallon for regular gasoline and about 24.4 cents a gallon for diesel. We asked Americans from around the country how they feel about paying for higher taxes to fill up their tank.
I think I'm fine with it as long as it really does go to improving our infrastructure.
25 cents seems like a lot.
I actually think it's a good idea.
I'm not crazy about the idea, but realistically it may have to be an option.
Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao says raising the gas tax is on the table, but not ideal.
There are pros and cons. The gas tax has adverse impact, a very regressive impact on the most vulnerable within our society.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce backs the quarter hike and says it would raise nearly $400 billion over the next decade. However, some conservative organizations do not like the plan. In a report by Freedom Partners, a group backed by the Koch brothers, found that a 25-cent gas increase would cost the average household hundreds of dollars more a year. State gas taxes range from 12 to about 60 cents a gallon. Since 2013, half of all states have increased gas taxes. Even without a federal gas tax hike, for many Americans, they're already spending more at the pump. In Washington, I'm Michelle Macaluso.
From the Terrorism Alert Desk in Washington, I'm Michelle Marsh. An explosion in Afghanistan killed a young girl and injured dozens of others. It happened in the eastern part of Kabul. Afghanistan's Ministry of Interior says the explosives were placed in the car of a foreign contractor. Residents in the area say the explosion was a suicide attack. In West Africa, separate attacks on the French embassy and National Army headquarters in Burkina Faso. A number of people were killed and hurt in the attacks in the former French colony. No word on who is responsible for that attack. From the Terrorism Alert Desk in Washington, I'm Michelle Marsh.
And George has another look at more windy weather for your weekend when we come back. We have finally made it to Oscars weekend, and ABC 13 will have you covered right through Sunday's main event. We're going to have a special Facebook Live after ABC 13 News at 6 on Sunday. Meteorologists Melissa Lefevre, Dana Evans, and Mark Spain will watch the red carpet with you and talk about the arrivals, favorite movies, any kind of thing like that. The Oscars are on at 8. We will wrap up our coverage at 11, so watch on ABC 13 and engage with us on Facebook. Tonight on ABC 13 News at 11, it is full court press time. The madness of March is here. Dave Walls will have all the latest playoff basketball scores and highlights from around the area that you don't want to miss.
All right, if you're heading out to a basketball game tonight, not as windy, but you're still going to feel that breeze, so certainly want to dress warmly for that.
You'll lose your hat.
Have some crazy hairstyles to go with that, too. Your day tomorrow, sun is shining all day, but in the morning, you really need your coat with you because we're going to see wind chills in the teens with that wind. By lunch, we're up to 46, diminishing afternoon winds, so the afternoon's actually going to be pretty nice. Those Sundays, the better day of your weekend for your outdoor stuff. Sunday, we're looking at upper 50s. We're dry for Monday, and then Tuesday is looking wet. Wednesday, we'll be tracking more wet weather, but as far as any snow days, don't see anything like that. Not going to be quite cold enough.
So we're seeing the winds die down sometime tomorrow afternoon.
Looking good.
All right, we'll see you back here at 11.
Bye-bye.